Good afternoon. Please take your seats. I'm Lydia Kavraki, and I'm the director of the Ken Kennedy Institute. The Ken Kennedy Institute at Rice University is pleased to offer the 13th annual Rice Oil and Gas Conference. We hope that you will thoroughly enjoy the conference and use the networking sessions to initiate collaborations, to promote technological innovation that will address the computing needs in the energy industry in our city, regionally, and globally. Many people have worked very hard to bring this conference to you, and they are recognized in the brochure that you have in your hands. From the Ken Kennedy Institute side, however, Dr. Jan Odegaard, our current executive director, who many of you know for many years, and many of you know that he's moving to ION very soon, he has been the driving force behind this conference. I would like to deeply thank him for his initiative, enthusiasm, dedication, and tireless efforts to make this conference a success. And at this point, I would like to pass the microphone to him to offer the opening remarks for this conference. Thank you.
Turn on the microphone here. Hello, does it work? Yes. Thank you and welcome to the 13th conference. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, as Lydia said, I'm moving on, and many of you have already talked to me about it. We'll talk more afterwards about that. That's in the future. So right now, we're here to talk about this year's conference and really try to see where we are and where we're going. So I have some opening remarks, some logistics and other things, and if this clicker works, sure enough, the wrong way. Wow, that works both ways. Interesting. So anyway, I want to remind you all that what this event is for. If you're new here, it is really a place to get together, to share best practices, meet good friends, of course, that goes without saying. I think we're all sort of good friends here. But share best practices, explore trends, highlight challenges, and sort of drive to some degree your IT requirements. I think one of the platforms that this has worked well for is really to have a conversation between the IT industry, between the oil and gas industry that are big consumers of the IT technology, and the academic, and really have that conversation, a vibrant conversation going. And really, the second portion of that is really to also address the workforce needs of the industry broadly. But, you know, we really do need to sort of look at ourselves. Again, I always remind you to kind of look to the left, look to the right, look in front and behind you, and say, are we 50-50 in terms of the blend of community? And usually we're not. And that is something that we constantly need to work on. I certainly have been a voice of somewhat annoying voice on the program committee about asking about that when it also comes to our speakers, but it's one of the things that is super important because we do need to fire on all sparks, and that means we need to tap into all the different talent we have. This is our community. We're trying to play this conference at the intersect of these, of these sort of domains, if you will. And if you wonder if we are actually successful in attracting that, this is you this year. So this is who registered for the conference. We have, as of this morning, about 620 people registering. Conditions may say that a few of you will not show up, but we know people are still drifting in. But this is basically who you are, about 40% oil and gas, about 40% IT industry, and sort of the rest of it is academics and others in the room. The way you describe yourself. I couldn't have done this. I mean, yes, I get credit for it, but I couldn't have done this without this great group of people. These are the people that helped make this happen. Several of us have been involved from day one, although there's fewer and fewer of us that have been involved every year. But several have, and a huge thank goes to this group of people. Couldn't have done it without it. And then, not the least, we could not do it without Michelle and Meredith. You probably all have met them now. Michelle is back here. I'm not sure if Meredith is. She's outside. Make sure you thank them before you leave, because this could not have happened without them, and they really deserve a huge round of applause. So let's give it them. Very quickly on the program, you have it in front of you. This morning we just wrapped up some workshops. We had some pre-conference workshops. We had one on analyzing CPU and GPU application performance. We had a workforce roundtable on diversity in the workforce. I think we had about 35-ish, 40 people in both of those. Great conversations is the reporting back I got. And then we had an all-morning workshop down here on best practices in supercomputing systems, where I think we had about 70 people. So that is kind of like the hands-on portion of the conference before we start. Then we're now moving into the session where we are right here. With the welcome, the opening keynote, a couple of plenaries and a break, we continue. And at the end of the day, we have a networking session. So hope you will join us over in the exhibit hall for that. And also during the break after this section, where we will have over in the networking session. And then we have two parallel sessions. One will be here in the auditorium, HPC standards, application, and cloud usage. And then upstairs in 280 will be data science, technology, and application. So look for that. I'm too far away. And then tomorrow we have, I'm just skip that because we can talk about that tomorrow. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Also could not do this and make it affordable without the sponsors and the exhibitors out there. So another huge thank to all of the sponsors. Make sure you visit them, talk to them, suggest what technology you need and where you need them to move. So thank you again for those. Also want to thank the companies that have stepped up and sponsor fellowships at RISE. For graduate student fellowships, they're listed over here, the most current recipients. And then a little bit of best practices for this year. RISE is, as we say, we are here. That means it's business as usual. All the students are in the classrooms, in spite of what news you may have heard. Wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching eyes, nose, or mouth. I mean, this is standard best practices, but it's amazing how many have not, you seem to have learned that in elementary school. Stay home if you're sick. So if you're sick, obviously none of you are sick, so that's good. And handshakes, and maybe try and handshakes and high fives with the Vulcan salute, elbow bumps, fist bumps, something other than necessarily shaking hands, because it is a bacterial, So if you know the Vulcan, then I can't get these fingers. So if you're good at that, that's good. I know some of you are really good at it. Exhibitors, you know where that is. You've already been out there. So we are now here in 103. That's the room we're in. And pay good attention to this, because occasionally I see lines outside the restrooms, even for the males, which is almost unique. But it does happen in this building. So there are some restrooms behind us here by the elevators. There's also a restroom behind the auditorium. You have to walk around the auditorium behind us here. But more importantly, there are restrooms upstairs. And especially if you come up the stairs here, you go the hallway down, out, and you hear, that's the biggest assembly of restrooms. And the reason I'm spending time telling you that is that sometimes I see during their short break that you're looking for a place in the intersection. So look for it up there. And then this is a good time to turn off your cell phones, and make sure it's on silent. And remember the greetings we do this weekend. So when I do elbow bumps, it's not necessarily because I feel like we have to, but it's a good practice to do during the flu season anyway.